BYU is building 240 new apartments for married students. Construction on them started this month.
6 months ago, the president of the church told us exactly why he wants young women marrying younger.
And today we're putting those dates next to each other. Hello, Eternal Family. Welcome to Post-Mormon Postmortem's Mormon Monday, where we talk about something of recent interest in Mormondom. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Jess. So BYU announced in early July that it's tearing down 9 buildings at Wymont Terrace. 11 new ones go up in their place. 240 apartments, 2 and 3 bedroom units. Construction starts this month. So, yeah.
Wymont is married student housing and has been since 1962. And I cannot conceive, no pun intended, how many little Mormons must have been conceived in that apartment block. So it's about time for an update.
It is. BYU CFO Steve Hafen said the investment will help ensure that those who call Wymont home continue to have an affordable, supportive environment where they can thrive.
Same season, different island. BYU Hawaii is putting $117 million into expanding Templeview apartments, 5 new buildings, also married student housing.
And here's the detail that makes it more than just a maintenance story. BYU Hawaii says it's holding total enrollment flat, around 3,200 students, while these buildings go up. They're not growing the school. They're growing the married housing share that already exists.
Okay, to be fair, BYU's stated reason for Wymont is simpler than the marriage push, because those buildings are from 1962, and they are old. So replacing aging buildings seems like a normal thing that a university does.
Sure. But we're replacing old buildings doesn't explain why BYU Hawaii is doing the same thing on a campus that isn't growing.
2 campuses in the same semester.
So in January in Burley, Idaho, President Oaks is there dedicating a temple. Somebody asks him about the missionary age change. Women can serve younger now? What's up with that?
Well, he said he expects it to result in a reduction in the age of marriages for Latter-day Saints. That was a quote. He said that he, quote, expects a reduction in the age of marriages for Latter-day Saints.
So his words. He called it part of, quote, the Lord's plan to overcome the tendency of waiting until late 20s to have a first marriage, end quote.
You should be like a normal woman and be into your second marriage by then. Oh, where's the lie? All right, 2023. Oaks and his wife Kristen told young single adults not to wait. October, his first conference talk as church president, he opened on family. And then April, closing out conference, he closed on family. Heavenly Father's plan.
He did, but Burley's the one with the teeth. He's not just praising marriage there. He's naming what the missionary age policy was for.
6 months before BYU broke ground.
Yeah. So in January, he told us why he lowered the missionary age for women. 6 months later, BYU broke ground on 240 units to house them.
So I'm just saying, to play devil's advocate and give him the benefit of the doubt, he did say that he expected it to result in lowered marriage age. Not that that was the intended, like maybe that's an unintended outcome. I mean, I know it's not, but
No,
I know that.
I think you're being quite gracious.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, all right, BYU didn't say the housing was about, this marriage age goal. He doesn't want people to put off this temptation to wait all those many years until
loneliness,
until their frontal lobe finishes developing. I mean, that would be insane. Okay, so we'll just draw our own claims. They didn't say it explicitly, okay, but we're obviously not the only ones drawing these kind of inferences. The Tribune's headline in July was, as LDS Church President Dallin H pushes marriage, BYU is building new apartments for couples. So it's not just us being wild and it's not a hidden connection. Okay. It's just that we haven't had that explicitly out there for very long.
No. An institution doesn't need to build capacity that it doesn't expect to need.
Yeah. That's the weird thing. They're keeping enrollment flat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not growing. So why do we need to then
Yeah. I
put
mean,
all
just to
of this
grow the
Mary
family.
housing
Yeah.
in?
5 new
Yeah,
buildings. Yeah. Replacing is different than expanding, isn't it? Right. Like replacing buildings makes sense to me. Expanding all that housing with flat enrollment makes no sense. Okay, a listener sent us a video, and I want to say up front that this is one viewer's clip and not something that we verified, but we're using it to illustrate a pattern that data supports, not as evidence on its own.
right. And so here's the video. It was a split screen and two women kind of juxtaposed talking. On one side, it's a 19-year-old. She's married. She says her husband's 10 years older. She doesn't have a degree, doesn't plan on getting one. She's not working, says she's not going to, says she's living her best life.
On the other side, there's a woman who's 37. She married older too. She says she thought it would make her secure. No degree, didn't work. Now her husband wants a divorce. She's terrified. No money of her own.
So 75% of stay at home mothers are married, compared to 65% of working mothers. They're also less likely to hold a college degree. 63% don't have one versus 44% for working mothers.
One national study found wives lose about $24,000 in household income the year of divorce. Most women's incomes recover over the years that follow, but that recovery runs through two things: going back to work or repartnering.
And if you spent your 20s and 30s with no job and no degree, neither one of those is fast.
Yeah. Pew's wage data shows that women in their 20s earn 92 cents on a man's dollar. By 35 to 45, it's 83 cents. Okay, it's getting so close to equality. That's the exact age bracket that the woman in the video is in.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know these women. Obviously, this isn't about the two of them.
No, let me connect the dots a little bit. BYU is building housing for marriages like the first one right now, that 19-year-old. Nobody is building anything for that 37-year-old.
Steve Hafen from BYU said the housing is about helping families thrive. And President Oakes has said that the goal is younger marriages. Both of them said it out loud.
Right. And as Hannah mentioned, we didn't find a secret. Other folks have pointed out to the same thing. We just lined up the dates together and said, we see a problem.
Yeah. If you're like 19 right now and living this, you're not wrong.
No, we're not saying you're wrong, but we are saying we want you to think about what the 37-year-old wishes somebody had told her at 19. The average hit from divorce, as Hannah said, $24,000 the first year. And you can earn your way back, but only if there's something to go back to.
Does it sound cynical to say put something in your name before you need it? Like make sure you have a skill, a credential, an income, a bank account, credit established.
Right.
I mean,
Something
yeah,
that's yours, no matter what happens to the marriage, whatever time in your life that marriage happens.
yeah, that's just being wise.
Agreed.
And that's Mormon Monday. Thank you for being wise and spending your time with us today.
If you've got a story like this one or a case we should be looking at, our comments are open. We'd love to hear what you've got.
If this episode resonated with you, or even if it didn't, tell us about it in the comments.
And the easiest way to help other people find us is to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Postmormon Postmortem, online at postmormonpostmortem.com, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, Jess, I'm sorry for what I said when I was Mormon.
And I'm sorry for what I said when I was Mormon too.